Hello, everyone. Hi. Welcome to SoulSpace podcast number 105. Yay, welcome. So continuing on with our theme for the month of pivoting, we decided to do process 16, back to the basics of pivoting, the process out of asking it is given. And pivoting is so important to learn, and it's a daily process. You can do it all the time. I mean, you should do it anytime that you start going down that
Right.
slippery slope, right?
Yeah. Because pivoting is the process of pivoting from going in a direction you don't want to go with your emotional set point, with your vibration, and pivoting back, going up the scale, the emotional scale, which is not only makes you feel better, but also improves your vibration, which we know the higher our vibration is, the more the things that we want can meet us in that vibration.
Yeah.
And so that's why pivoting is so important, is it helps us to pivot away from, oh man, I'm going down a slippery slope right now. Pivoting towards feeling better, towards raising your vibration, towards all of the things that you've wanted, towards the path of the things that you've asked for. So pivoting is essential, and it really is a practice.
Really
it's
is.
a daily practice, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
And one that's vitally important if you're wanting to achieve more of what you're wanting in your life.
Yeah.
Plus, who doesn't want to feel better?
Right. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a hard thing, it's something that will, it just happens. You start catching yourself and you pivot right away, and you don't even really know that you're doing it, once you get into the vibe of doing it all the time.
Yeah,
So
it becomes more and more automatic when you practice it.
Yeah, that's the word, automatic, that I was looking for.
You are welcome. That's why we make a good team.
Right. Yeah. So we'll start reading on this process, and we'll just go through this little chapter. It's not very long, and there's some really good gold nuggets in here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I'll start, and then we'll take turns and discuss along the way.
Yes.
So pivoting is process number 16, again in Asking It Is Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks. We're starting on page 249. When to use this process? When you are aware that the statement you just made is the opposite of what you want to attract into your experience, or when you want to establish an improved point of attraction. Also, when you are feeling fairly good, but know that you could feel better, and you are willing to take the time to make that happen right now. So, really anytime throughout the day you can use it, and it's so good.
Yes.
So your current emotional set point range. This pivoting process will be one of the most valuable to you when your emotional set point is ranging somewhere between boredom and anger. So you're kind of in the top of or the bottom of the mid-range of the emotional guidance scale. When you get bored, sometimes your mind starts to go wonky on you.
Yeah.
So it will help you get out of that right away. And really, if you have a lot of things that you love, you should never be bored. I mean, but it's a process of finding those things too, to keep you, because boredom can be a huge thing for people if they aren't used to sitting still, where for us, having some downtime is amazing, because
when does that ever happen?
Right. Right.
Because we're always,
and you can always meditate or go for a walk or do something to keep your mind occupied, so it's not going down that slope. So
right. But to be fair, boredom is right below satisfaction,
right,
in the emotional scale. So if you're into boredom, if you're up to boredom, that's actually a really good sign that you're just on the cusp of being like in the receiving mode, of feeling okay, feeling satisfied.
Yeah. And we want you to be open to receiving those good things from the universe. So
because you deserve it.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so if you are not sure what the emotional set point is, or what your emotional set point is, turn back to chapter 22 and scan the 22 categories on the emotional guidance scale. And we'll put a copy of the emotional guidance scale in the comments when we download the video. So it'll be there for you if you don't have it, and if for some reason we forget to put it in there. It's on another podcast too. We've downloaded it a couple times, so you can look back to another pivoting session that we did, and it'll be on there.
Right.
So it is possible to be focused in vibrational opposition to what you really desire without knowing you are. It is like the opposite ends of a stick. And we've talked about the stick story before. It's one of our
The stick
favorite.
analogy is
Yeah.
my favorite.
When you pick up a stick, you pick up both ends. This pivoting process will help you be more aware of which end of your stick you are currently activating. The end that is about what you want, or the end that is about the absence of what you want. The contrast of your time-space reality is extremely useful, for contrast helps you focus your thoughts. Whenever you know what you do not want, you also know even more clearly what you do want. And whenever you know what you do want, you also know even more clearly what you do not want. And so your exposure to contrast sharpens your focus and gives birth to new preferences and desires. In fact, this valuable contrast assures the eternal expansion of all that is. The process of pivoting is often the first step in beginning to shift your habit of vibration, because this is a process that helps you more clearly define exactly what you desire. But because there is usually a wide variance in the vibration on one end of the stick and the vibration on the other end of the stick, you usually do not immediately shift your vibration just by making a statement of desire. So good.
I think that's really important too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people say, well, I've said out loud what I want.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Right.
You put it out there.
Yeah.
But from there, there's another step.
Yeah.
And that step is to start moving in the direction of the vibration of what you want.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times what I say, the next step, actually, in my opinion, is to make a decision to have it.
Right.
And from there, that helps you to move towards the vibration of having that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then your work from there is to feel better, because when you feel better, that shows you that your vibration is moving up, that your vibration is moving towards what you've asked for.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, it's always, or it should be, baby steps to get you there, not sitting there just saying what you want, but never acting towards that. So you need to do the exercises that are helping you get into that vibration of having what you want. So
Right.
That's where pivoting comes in. So, for example, when you are sick, you know very clearly that you want to be well. Or when you do not have enough money, you know very clearly that you want more money. Now, by turning your attention to what you do want and by holding your attention upon what you do want, you will begin to vibrate there. At first, your awareness is what you do not want. If At first, your awareness of what you do not want helps you identify what you do want. In other words, as you speak the words of your desire, your vibration may not match your words. But if you will continue the process of pivoting, that is, if whenever you feel negative emotion, which helps you know that you are focused upon something unwanted, you will stop and say, I know what I don't want, so what is it that I do want? Then in time, you will change your vibration on the subject. Little by little, you will redirect your vibration, and eventually, the improved vibration will become your dominant thought. See the process of pivoting as a gradual shifting of your point of attraction and enjoy the positive results that must follow. It is not possible for you to consistently give your attention to what you do want and not receive it. For the law of attraction guarantees that whatever you are predominantly focused upon will follow into your experience. That's so good. And it's so very true when you are thinking about what you want, but your mind continually goes to, well, I can't have that, or I'm not good enough for that, or I haven't learned enough for that to get that, or whatever those excuses are that your ego gives you because it's trying to keep you safe. Um, if you keep pivoting time after time after time again, pretty soon, without falter, you're going to be in that vibration and it's going to be coming to you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that illustrates really why it's a practice. Because
Yeah.
every day you're going to have some up and down in
Right.
how you feel, which is an up and down in your
Yeah.
vibration,
Yeah.
which could kind of slow things down a little bit. But if you are aware of what's happening,
Yeah.
and you're allowing yourself to pivot each time and catch yourself when you start to kind of go down a negative slope, the faster you catch yourself, the less momentum there is, which means it's easier to pivot, which means that it's all about just practicing this every single day.
Yeah.
Because that allows it to become almost automatic. And that's a beautiful thing too, because it's like, well, wouldn't it be nice if it was easy?
Right.
Well, it is easy.
Yeah.
And it gets easier the easier it gets.
Yeah.
Because by law of attraction, if it feels easy, it gets
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah. Yeah. The easier it gets, the easier it gets, right? Yeah. Just like getting ready to be ready.
Yeah.
It's a process, and it can be so easy. I have a little example when this past weekend, long weekend, we went camping, and the first day we went, it rained. We did get a hotel room the first night. Then we had beautiful 3 nights of camping. Well, the third night it rained again, but it was okay. We still enjoyed it. We were dry for the most part. It didn't rain. We had the most beautiful days, all the days. It rained in the evenings. So it was like, oh, no biggie,
Yeah.
It was okay. We pivoted each time we had a little thing. Our first we went with no reservations. That's what we do. That's how we road trip. And the first night, well, we found a hotel right away because it was raining, or it was gonna be kind of stormy, so we decided we'd be safe and stay in a hotel. The second night, we had checked a couple different places, didn't find a spot. Then we just happened to see a sign, and it looked like a cool place, so we turned around and went back there. They had the most perfect spot for us. We were right on the lake shore. We just had to go like 10 steps through the trees to get to the lake. We could see, and it was Lake Superior. We could see the lake from our campsite. It was just perfect for us. And the lady at the checkout, in the office or whatever, she said, she like checked it 3 times. She said, this site is never open. And we went, oh, of course, that's why we're here. So it was, and our whole trip, things like that happened. So when you're aware and you don't let the little stumbles, like, oh, the first place we checked didn't have one, second place we checked. If you don't get frustrated in that, and it's because something better is waiting.
The perfect place was waiting for you.
And it was, and we couldn't have it for more than one night because it was booked the rest, a couple nights out. So we went somewhere else. Same thing. We had checked a couple places. Then we saw this sign about the National Forest, Superior National Forest. And it wasn't on Lake Superior, but it was a smaller lake. And again, it was perfect. I mean, we couldn't have asked for a better spot. So we just knew that everything is always working out for you,
Right.
And when you have that attitude, that opinion, you know that that's going to happen for yourself. It always does. So yeah, it was just a perfect trip. So yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
And like you said, you checked a couple places and they weren't even open.
Right. Yeah.
But you're like, well,
Yeah.
something better.
Here we go.
And you were right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, always pivot to the better feeling, to the better thought. And it really does work, and no matter what.
Yep.
Mhm.
This didn't work out because something better is waiting.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Always. So cool.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's such a good story. And it's funny because you just got back from your trip too.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
fresh.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's things happening right now for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And it's cool when you can see those things happen and recognize them. And in the recognition is when it happens more often. So don't just poo-poo those kind of things away. Actually notice them, because some people would think, oh, my trip was ruined because I didn't get to stay where I first wanted to. There's a reason for that.
Right.
There's something better. So
Absolutely.
always know that. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, we're going to move on to the next section.
Yay.
More good stuff.
Yeah.
Abraham, speak to us more about the pivoting process. I'm on page 251 if you have the book. The most important thing to remember is that you are the attractor of your experience and that you are attracting it by virtue of the thoughts that you are offering. Thoughts are magnetic, and as you think a thought, it will attract another and another and another until eventually you will have physical manifestation of the vibrational essence of whatever has been the subject of your thoughts. One thing that I think is important for people to note is they talk about the vibrational essence. So the
Mhm.
vibration that is matching you. It might not be exactly the experience as you imagined it in your mind,
Right.
but it contains the essence and the feeling and the experience that you've
Mhm.
asked for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so some people like, it didn't happen exactly how I thought it was going to go. Well, was that disappointing to you? Or was that exciting to you because you still got what you want?
Yeah.
And you still had the essence of that. You had the joy that you've asked for.
Mhm.
You've had the happiness that you asked for. You had, whatever, so it just depends, like with me and my car. There are specific
Yeah.
things that I wanted in a car. Did I get every single one of them? No.
Right.
But did I get the essence of what I asked for and something I still loved and appreciated and was wonderful? Yes.
Yeah.
And so to hear more about that story, go back to one of our other podcasts.
Yeah.
Where I
Yeah,
talked
that's a
about
good
getting my
one,
car.
too. Yeah.
I got my first car and I got my second car.
Mm-hmm.
They were both wonderful.
Yeah.
And one of them still works.
Yeah.
And the other one, even though it did die on me, the situation worked out absolutely perfect.
Right.
And so there's nothing to be mad about in that situation.
For sure.
But anyway, so go back and listen to our other podcast about that. But anyway, so think about that vibrational essence of what you asked for and watching for those pieces coming in that show you that you're on that path, that it's coming your way because you're getting pieces that are showing you every single day, that little gold nuggets that say, oh, you're on the right path.
Yeah.
Synchronicities and
Mm-hmm.
love it. Okay, anyway, I felt it was important to note.
It is. Yeah.
If you have ever experienced, and we know that you have, that which you would consider to be negative emotion, you may describe it as fear, doubt, frustration, or loneliness. There are many ways that you describe negative emotion. What you are experiencing in that negative emotion is the thinking of a thought that does not vibrate at a frequency that is in harmony with where or who your inner being is. You see, through all your life experiences, physical and non-physical, your inner being or the total you has come to a place of knowing and to a place of wanting. And so, when you are in this physical body, consciously focused upon a thought that does not harmonize with that which your inner being has come to know, then the resultant feeling within you is one of negative emotion. So it's basically negative emotion is misalignment with your higher self and what your inner being knows is space.
Yeah.
If you were to sit on your foot and cut off the circulation of the flow of blood, or if you were to put a tourniquet around your neck and restrict the flow of oxygen, you would see immediate evidence of this restriction. And in like manner, when you think thoughts that are not in harmony with your greater knowing, the flow of life force, the energy that comes from your inner being into your physical apparatus, is stifled or restricted. And the result is that you experience negative emotion. And if you would allow it to continue over a longer period of time, you would receive negative deterioration of your physical apparatus. That is why we say that an illness is a result of the allowance of negative emotion. As you are understanding that a feeling of negative energy is an indicator that you are not in harmony with your greater knowing, many of you have reached the point of saying, I want to feel good more of the time. And we say that is a magnificent acknowledgement because you are saying, I want to feel good. What you are really saying is, I want to be in the place of positive attraction, or I want to be in a place where the thoughts that I'm thinking as I'm feeling good are in harmony with my greater awareness.
That's so good. It really is all about the feeling, even if you're thinking about anything that helps you feel good, you're moving in the right direction, right?
You're in harmony, you're in alignment with your inner being, your soul, and what it thinks and where it wants to go.
Right.
Whether you're thinking thoughts about what you want or not doesn't matter as much as that your vibration is in harmony. With that greater knowing. With what your soul knows is true for you.
Right. Yeah.
I love it.
It gives me goosebumps.
Yeah. That section is one of my favorites because it really illustrates the importance of thought and your attraction and how you're feeling and what that all means.
Do whatever you can to keep your thoughts at a higher vibration. And you're going to be on the right track soon. You're going to be, life is going to go a lot easier for you if you're doing that. If you're doing whatever you can to keep those vibrations, those thought patterns in a higher vibration.
And that's one of the reasons that positive affirmations are helpful. Because when you do positive affirmations as a daily practice, it trains your brain to start thinking that way, to start thinking those thoughts, to repeat those thoughts, which when you say them and you feel them, they feel good, which means that they're in alignment with what your inner being knows, what your inner being feels. And so that helps you to practice not only your mind getting in alignment, but also your vibration getting in alignment by feeling better. And so that's why people find that those positive affirmations and using them are so useful, because that practice helps to train both your mind and your vibration to be in alignment with your soul. It's kind of a beautiful thing.
Kind of. It's awesome.
And another reason to love Louise Hay.
Yes. Louise and Esther. There's a good group of teachers out there that are so awesome.
For sure.
Okay, so pivot from what is unwanted to what is wanted. Many of you would have excuse me, many of you would not have such a difficult time feeling good if you were in an environment where there was not so much negative influence around you. That was certainly true on the day that you emerged into this physical body. But since you live in a dimension where there is much influence of thought that is abounding, it is of value for you to have some process to assist you in getting from that place where you do not want to be to the place where you do want to be. And the process of pivoting is just such a process. When you're feeling negative emotion, you are in a very good position to identify what you want, because never are you more clear about what you do want than when you are experiencing what you do not want. And so if you will stop in that moment and say, something is important here, otherwise I would not be feeling this negative emotion. I need to focus on what I want. And then turn your attention to what it is that you want. In the moment of the turning of your attention, the negative emotion and the negative attraction will stop. And in the moment the negative attraction stops, the positive attraction will begin. And your feeling will change from not feeling good to feeling good. That is the process of pivoting. So it says it pretty simple there. I mean, you just change your thought, you know, if that's all there is to it, and it doesn't have to be hard. So, you know, just try it. And it doesn't have to be drastic. We've talked about before where, you know, you don't have to go from the bottom of the scale to the top of the scale in one step. It's just baby steps. That's all you have to do.
Right. You don't have to try to jump, because a lot of times taking that big of a leap isn't as sustainable anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So you could go with a feeling of I'm bored to, well, there are things I could do if I want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you can think about, oh, well, I kind of feel like I could get up and do this other thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you just slowly move yourself up and you go, okay, well, maybe I'll stand up and I'll just see how I feel.
Yeah.
And then you get up and you're like, okay, well, now that I'm up, maybe I should just go do this one thing quick. And then I'll have that done. If I want to take a break, I can.
Mm-hmm.
And then so you see, so you're slowly moving yourself up, baby steps, step by step by step.
Yep.
And you're still getting yourself moving in that positive direction and building momentum.
Yeah.
Just changing one thought brings another thought like it to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they said, within
Exactly.
seconds. And so as you think one better thought, then another one meets it, then another one meets that, then
Mm-hmm.
another one meets that. The law of attraction starts to bring those to you and you build your momentum.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what pivoting is like I'm slowly moving in the direction of where I do want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So easy if you let it be.
It is easy. You can let it be easy.
Right. Yeah.
Even have one thought picked out that like if I start feeling myself go downhill, I'll pick one thought that I'm always going to use that one.
Yeah.
Have it in
Kind
your
of
phone.
like a safe word.
My pivoting thought.
Yeah.
Just have it in your phone. Pivoting thought in your little file that like I have on my phone files. Then you have it right there. Or put it on your mirror, or stick it in your car, or whatever. That's my pivoting thought.
Yeah.
Make it easy. If you have a hard time thinking positive thoughts, make it easy. Pick one that always feels good to think it.
Yeah.
And use that to start your momentum. Because why not?
Yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, why wouldn't you want to have a better thought? Why wouldn't you want to feel better?
Right. And why not make it easier? Because when it's easier, it gets easier, right?
Yeah. It does. Okay, moving on. You will never be in a place where there is only a pureness of positive emotion or the pureness of positive energy, because within everything that you want, there is an automatic and natural counterbalance that is the lack of what you want. And so your work is to define what it is you want, and then to, in a very deliberate way, hold your thoughts in the direction of your desires. And the emotional guidance that comes forth from your inner being that you feel in terms of negative or positive emotion will assist you in knowing which side of the equation you are on, or the stick, if you're using the stick scenario. So, are you thinking of what you want or the lack of it? A young father called and said, "Abraham, my son is wetting the bed, and he's too big for that. I've tried everything I know, and I'm at my wit's end. I don't know what to do." And we said, "When you come into the bedroom in the morning, what happens?" And he said, "I come in, and right away I know what's happened again. I can tell by the odor in the room." And we said, "And how do you feel at that point?" And he said, "I feel disappointed, and then angry, and then frustrated, because it keeps going on and I don't know what to do about it." And we said, "Aha, you are perpetuating the bedwetting." He asked, "What should I do?" And we said, "What do you say to your little boy?" And he said, "I tell him to get out of those wet clothes and get into the bathtub. I tell him he's too big for this. We've talked about it before." And we said, When you enter the room and feel the negative emotion as you realize that what you do not want has occurred again, stop and ask yourself what it is you do want and get your thoughts focused upon that before you go further into the experience of your little one. And you will then see improvements in what happens. So we asked this father what this experience had helped him recognize about what he wanted. He said, I want my little one to wake up happy and dry and proud of himself and not embarrassed. We said, good. As you are thinking those sorts of thoughts, then what is oozing out of you will be in harmony with what you want, not out of harmony. And you will be more positively, powerfully influencing your little one also. And then words will come out of you such as, oh, this is part of growing up. All of us have been through this, and you are growing up very fast. Now get out of those wet clothes and get in the bathtub. This young father called very soon after that, within a few weeks, and he said that the bedwetting had stopped. Isn't that awesome?
It's, what we talked about, it was last week or the week before, the art of telling a different story.
Right. Yep.
That's really
Yep.
what he's doing there.
It
And what
really
Abraham
is.
is encouraging is to have him start telling the story that he wants, perpetuating that story, not what's currently occurring that you don't want.
Exactly. Yeah.
Changes the focus.
It really does. Yeah. You see, it is really so simple. When you feel bad, you are in the process of attracting something that will not please you. And it is always because you are focused upon the lack of something you want. And so the process of pivoting is the conscious decision to identify what it is that you do want. We do not want to imply that the feeling of negative emotion is a bad thing, because very often in the feeling of negative emotion, you are alerting to the fact that you are in the process of negatively attracting. And so it is like a warning bell. It is part of your guidance system. We encourage you very strongly not to beat up on yourself when you recognize that you are feeling negative emotion. But as soon as you can, stop and say, I'm feeling some negative emotion, which means that I'm in the process of attracting what I don't want. What is it that I want, that I do want? A very simple process of pivoting would be to say, I want to feel good. Anytime you are feeling bad, stop and say, what is it? What I want to do is feel good. And if you will offer that, then thoughts will begin to come to you on the positive side of the equation. As one thought attracts another, and attracts another, you will very soon be vibrating at the frequency that is in harmony with your greater knowing. And then you will really be rolling in terms of positive creation. So good.
When you read that, I
Yeah.
thought I did the thought where it said, what I want is to feel good. And it felt really good to say that in my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Right.
I do want that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't have to speak those words out loud. Just say them in your mind, keep that positive mindset going within you at all times, whenever you catch yourself, and the more you start doing that and recognizing, oh, that wasn't getting me where I want to go,
Right.
You're going to change that up, and it's going to be so easy. It'll just flow for you. So the more you do it, the more better it gets.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I would probably say for myself is I have decided to feel good.
Yeah, you're good at that.
I really like to say that, because then it's like, okay, I made that decision. It's out there. I'm moving toward it right now.
Yeah.
And it puts it in the now too.
Yeah, it really does.
Which this is awesome too, because it feels good to say that. I want to feel good.
Yeah.
Yep. What I want is to feel good. That feels good to say that. To me, it feels even better to say, I have decided to feel good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've decided I'm feeling good. I've decided I'm moving toward feeling good right now.
And that's a really good one to do if you have that monkey mind that starts going down the slippery slope a lot. Just wait a minute. I've decided I want to feel good. right there, you're turning the corner.
Yeah.
You're going uphill again. And you can feel it in your body,
You
can't
can.
you? Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So try it.
Try it. Think it right now while
Yeah.
we're reading.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Okay. Thoughts connect to thoughts, which connect to thoughts.
Imagine that.
We might have just talked about that.
Yeah.
Our friend Jerry has offered us the most powerful analogy for the way that your thoughts connect to one another. He described a large ship coming into a dock. It was to be tied with a rope that was very large, almost 1 foot in diameter, too big and bulky to throw across the expanse of water. And so, instead, a small ball of twine was tossed across, which is spliced into a little bigger rope, which is spliced into a little bigger rope, which is spliced into a little bigger rope, until eventually the very large rope was easily pulled across the big expanse of water. And this is the way your thoughts dovetail into one another, with one connecting to another. On some subjects, because you have been pulling on the negative rope longer, it is very easy for you to get off on a negative tangent. It can take just a little utterance from somewhere, a memory of something, or some suggestion to take you into a negative tailspin right away. And so, sometimes it is difficult for you to let go of that negative rope, for you have been holding on to it for a very long time. But if, whenever you are feeling negative emotion, you will realize that you are negatively attracting, and you will let your dominant intent to be to feel good, then you can find yourself rather easily letting go of that rope. And so, both the process of pivoting and the process of the Book of Positive Aspects are offered to assist you in recognizing, in the early subtle stages, that you are pulling on the very tips of that negative ball of twine, so that you may, right away, release it and reach for the positive twine. As we were talking about the way thoughts connect to thoughts, connect to thoughts, connect to thoughts, we want to point out something that you may be missing. It is much easier to go from a little thought of something that makes you feel good to more that makes you feel good to more that makes you feel good than it is to be in a place where you are feeling bad and then go right to a place where you are feeling good, which we
Right.
just talked about.
Yeah. So true.
I'll just finish this part.
Sure.
Do not try to save the world, save yourself.
That's so true.
Yes. Because thoughts are so attractive, meaning that they attract more unto them. Once you get going on a thought that does not feel good to you, it is easier for you to stay focused on that train of thought until you have a great amount of negative energy going than it is for you to pivot away. And for that reason, we would encourage the greatest exercise of pivoting that we can offer you. In other words, rather than moving forward into your day not having any clear ideas of what you want and waiting until some influence touches you that you do not like, feeling the negative response and deciding that you will pivot, it is so much more productive for you to go about your day with a decision to look for positive aspects. Do not try to save the world, save yourself. That means that you need to focus on what makes you feel good. The process of pivoting is the tool that will bring you to what you want. It is the process whereby you consciously decide, yes, I want to look for what I want, and I will no longer look in the direction of the lack of it. Pivoting is the continual, hour after hour, segment by segment process where you choose the positive. It is the way you get to feeling good, and it is a way that you can get whatever you want.
I love that. Yeah. You just have to start somewhere and start doing it. Start pivoting those thoughts. Start thinking and finding things that are going to help you stay in that more positive mindset. Keep thinking about your goals, the things you want, no matter how far of a reach it feels like at the beginning. The more you do it, the more things are going to come, and they're going to change and they're going to morph into something different, but you're still going to feel good. It's going to keep you going forward. So,
Right.
yeah.
And if it doesn't feel good to think of your goals because you haven't achieved them,
Right.
Start with the practice of feeling good.
Yeah.
Practice that feeling. Practice
Yeah.
what it feels like to feel good. Because if you haven't achieved your goals yet, you haven't been in alignment with that long enough to achieve it, which
Right.
means that you
Yep.
haven't practiced enough the feeling of feeling good.
Yeah.
Because that feeling of feeling good tells you that you're in that positive vibration, that receiving mode. And so that helps you to be in that vibration, that helps you to achieve the things that you want
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
achieve them faster and more easily than you could probably imagine.
Yeah.
But it is a practice because we have a lot of outside influence.
Right.
And we have, a lot of momentum in whatever direction we've been going in. And
Yeah.
so to slow that momentum through the pivoting process and pivot in a new direction also might take you a little bit of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And practice, because you're still going to waffle between those vibrations because you've been doing it for so long. And so that's why the practice of it is so important.
Right. And don't get discouraged if you stumble. Just keep going. Get back on the horse, like they say,
You ever
Keep-
fallen off the horse?
Right. Yeah, many
Hello,
times.
duh.
And I always got back on.
Yes.
But, if you just keep doing it and keep doing it, pretty soon it's going to be easy and you'll have times where things will happen and it's not going to bring you down so much. It's gonna put in your mind that, oh, that's because there's something better for me. I'm gonna still feel good. I'm still gonna go for what I want, and you will get there eventually. And just know that if it's not working, just pivot. And because there is something better, it's amazing.
Right. Pivoting helps turns your mountains into molehills.
Right. It really does.
It really does. And this is one of the processes that was a game changer for me. And I still use it every day.
Yeah. Yep.
Every day.
Yeah.
Because I know that it is a slippery slope and that momentum can get rolling real fast.
Right.
In one direction or the other.
Yeah. Either way. It's all
just like I talked about the last time we did a podcast about traffic.
Yeah.
This morning I started to feel myself get frustrated because I got behind someone in one lane because right now there is road construction.
Yeah.
It's road construction season.
Yeah.
It's summer now.
We have 2 seasons, winter and road construction up here.
And my way to work is a highway. And that highway has road construction on it every single summer.
Yeah.
And right now it's one lane for over half my drive.
Wow.
And so when you get behind somebody going 10 miles under the speed limit in that road construction, it can get frustrating. So this morning, when that happened to me, I did a pivot because it's like, I don't want to go down that slope today. I don't want to be angry on my way to work. I want to have a good day.
Yeah.
So I decided to change how I was starting to feel. And when I made that decision, then I'm like, okay, it's fine. I'll still get to work.
Yeah.
Nobody's like punching my time card but me. So
Right.
it's like I'll punch the time clock, and when I get there is when I get there, and I'll just make up the time. I'll still get there on time before I need to be there. Right. So it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
And then after I did that, then my favorite band came on my Spotify, which I was listening to. I can say Spotify, whatever. I'm not sponsored by Spotify.
No.
But anyway, so then my favorite band came on there, and I was like, oh, good. Then I'll listen to this and I'll sing along. It'll be fine. And then after that, it played a second song from my favorite band, which it's on random.
Awesome.
And so I was like, well, perfect. And then I just felt better. And then another band came on that I liked, and another. I was like, we're good. We're fine. It's going to be fine. And it was fine.
Yeah. And
that traffic, once we got through, then it eased and I was able to take off like I normally do. I don't take off too fast. I'm not a huge speeder. There are crazy people around me that do that. I don't do that. But anyway, I was able to take off and go normal speed on my way to work. It was still fine. I still made it there in a reasonable amount of time. Right. Later than I wanted to, but I still made it. It was fine. Yeah. There wasn't any accidents. Nobody fell asleep at the wheel. I got through that traffic and they pulled to the other lane and I was able to just go and it was all fine. So, I didn't allow it to pull me down today.
Right.
And sometimes it does. I'll be
That's
honest
awesome.
that sometimes it can be really frustrating. Other people
Mm-hmm.
that deal with traffic, you might be able to relate to
Yeah.
that,
It's a
on a
common
daily
problem.
basis. Yeah, and I have a long drive
Yeah,
to work every day.
you do.
I have a 45-minute drive on a good day. So
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that I have to deal with on a daily basis that can be frustrating for me. And so what I do is when I notice I start to get
Mhm.
annoyed, then I find a way to pivot.
Yeah.
Whether it is finding a good song that makes me feel good, or thinking a different thought, or listing the positive aspects of things that are around
Mm-hmm.
me, using the tools that we teach you, I use them and you use them every single day. And
Yeah.
that's why our lives continue to improve. We
Mm-hmm.
continue to feel better, and we're sharing the joy of our lives and the
Yeah.
things that also happen to us and like become those little molehills.
Mm-hmm.
We share this information with you because it helps us,
Yeah.
because it's helped us to change our lives. And every single
Yeah.
day it's changing our lives in a
Mm-hmm.
more and more positive way. And this is one process that really changed the game for me,
Yeah. Me too.
when it
Yeah.
came to improving my life and
Mm-hmm.
feeling good every day. And I do feel good
Right.
every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people do it naturally. I remember, before I started to learn about law of attraction and stuff, I was more positive anyway than most people. And it's always helped me through my life. But when I learned about it and found out that I can do that intentionally, it made a huge difference for me.
Yeah.
You know, and there are people that just have this gift of doing it automatically without realizing, but a lot of people struggle with it.
Right.
And I know, and at times, even when you're a positive person, you can still have places in your life where it's not so good, and
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to get out of that when you
Yes.
don't have the tools. And that's why we love to share these tools, because there is a better way to keep your mind in a better place.
There is. There are a lot of tools that you can use and that are free and that are easy
Mm-hmm.
and that you can use on the daily and no one will ever know.
Right.
And this is one of them.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
is one of them.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest that I was very cynical and sarcastic,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't always have positive thoughts. I
Right.
was very prone to depression and thinking and
Mm-hmm.
thinking and thinking and rumination and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and it did take me some effort to retrain myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now, like, positive thoughts are
Mhm.
almost automatic for me. And if I feel that, I can recognize it right away.
Yeah.
And I can move forward. Like, if I start to have a negative thought or a negative thought train
Mhm.
start to happen, so it was something where I did have to retrain myself. But now people describe me as a positive person. They love
Right.
being around me. And, they're like, I'm so glad to see your face because, you're somebody who's positive. I
Yeah.
feel good around
Yeah.
you. And for me, it feels really good because that's who I wanted to be, and that's who I want to be,
Mhm.
and that's who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it did take some effort,
Yeah.
and whether you're a positive person or you're cynical and sarcastic, like I used to be, and still sometimes am.
And it's fun to be sarcastic when you're
Sarcasm can be
kidding
fun,
about it. Yeah.
but
But you're
sarcasm in a
not.
negative way is like
Right.
everyone's like, oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah. You don't want to be Debbie Downer.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Right.
And you don't want to be that person that like brings down the room, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so this is one of those practices that can really help you with that. All of us want to feel better every day
Mhm.
because if we didn't have that want, we wouldn't be asking for things.
Right. Yeah.
It's just part of the process of being here and existing is that
Yeah.
we want to feel better every day. And so this process really helps you to get there
Mhm.
if you use it as a practice.
Yeah. So we are inviting you to use it as a practice.
Yes.
And let us know how it works for you.
Yeah.
Make an effort to try to be in a better momentum.
Yeah. And if you have questions about like, okay, in this situation, what should I do? Or
Yeah.
what are some different things that I could do to pivot?
Right.
You want ideas, just ask us. We're happy to help you with that.
Yeah. That's what we're here for.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Carissa, where can we find you on this wonderful world of interwebs? I only used that word for a couple weeks, so.
Yeah, we haven't said interwebs in a while. Why not use it and annoy
Right.
half the people and have other people have their mouth
Laugh with
laughing,
us,
you know?
yeah. Mhm.
Well, you can find me in a couple places. I'm on Facebook at Light of Hope Healing. We're collectively on Facebook at Our Soul Space.
Yeah.
We are on YouTube at SoulSpace Podcasts, which is where we're recording this originally.
Yeah.
You can find me also on my Square site, which is light-of-hope-healing.square.site, Light of Hope Healing with a bunch of dashes in between, .square.site, which is also, if you can't remember that, on my Facebook page.
Yeah. Just click the link.
Click the link on my
Easy.
Facebook page at Light of Hope Healing.
Easy
Easy
peasy.
peasy.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you,
Yeah.
Tracy, if people want to check your stuff out?
I am at inspiredsignals.com. All my links are there. I'm also at Inspired Signals on Facebook and Instagram. And if you like artsy creative stuff, I am at Inspired Signals Studio at Instagram and Facebook.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Check out some of her latest paintings because
I
those
just
are pretty
did a new one
amazing.
and I don't think I posted it yet. I did one last week. That's kind of funky.
All right.
Funny,
Well, I'll look for
funny.
that posting and you guys
Yeah,
should too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's another goofy one, but it's
Awesome.
good.
Those
Yeah.
are my
Another
favorites.
goofy animal. Yeah, they're fun. So that wraps it up for this week. I hope you're enjoying your summer. We hope you're enjoying your summer.
And if you're not, it's time to pivot.
Yeah,
So perfect that you're
pivot.
watching this with us
Yeah, yeah,
right now.
yeah. We'll see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.